Welcome to Zelda Universe TV, it's Zelda time! Speaking of which, one person mentioned in one of the comments that they thought that silly line was getting a little old or repetitive, but let's try out a new catchphrase. Let's Octorok! No? Don't like that one either? Okay. But seriously, check out this sweet shirt. I just got this at the Triforce Tribute Show last night, and that was the Zelda art show here in Portland, Oregon. A lot of amazing art and awesome shirts. So, you guys have had a couple interesting mailbags lately. You had one hosted by the Sword Spirit herself, Fee. You had one hosted by Ombre de Mundo and Lycia. So we're going to do a traditional, boring old question and answer video. Our first question comes from KingMatt134, who says, how was Genon made or born if only one male is born to the Gerudo every 100 years? That's a good question. So, when a mommy Gerudo and a daddy Gerudo have very special feelings, they spend some personal... But I mean, obviously what's going on here is that the Gerudo male has to be at least 100, is what you're getting at. Now, that's possible. Even by human standards, that's certainly possible. However, one thing to consider is that we don't know what the lifespan of a Hylian, let alone a specific branch of Hylian, the Gerudo, would be. For all we know, they might live 1,000 years. Probably not. They could live 500 years, or only 50 years, we don't know. But you're right in pointing out that the male has to be at least 100 years old for it to work out. Our next question comes from Piddlesworthable, who says, would you agree that if Skyward Sword had the open exploration of the Wind Waker, with many different types of islands to explore in the sky, with different puzzles and themes and side quests similar to what they had in Majora's Mask, and not just fetch quests, then it could possibly be the best Zelda game ever? Or do you think that the majority of fans will never let Ocarina of Time leave that title? I personally think that Skyward Sword surpassed Majora's Mask. Now, my personal preference is not for a game like Majora's Mask that has a bazillion side quests. I don't care about side quests. I'm sorry to say, side quests are a little superfluous for me. I'd rather just have a bunch of super awesome dungeons, which is something Majora's Mask was lacking. It had 4 dungeons. And the reason why it probably only had 4 dungeons is because they had 500 bazillion side quests. You can't have both, unfortunately. The game developers don't have that much time to jam-pack a game full of 100 bazillion side quests and a lot of great dungeons. So my personal preference is dungeons as opposed to side quests, so Skyward Sword was perfect for me. But you're right in saying that Ocarina of Time, for some reason, is a lot of people's favorite Zelda title, and that's what they compare every single Zelda game to. Ocarina of Time is a great game, don't get me wrong, but it is not perfect, and I think that a lot of Zelda games since Ocarina of Time have surpassed it. I personally think Wind Waker surpassed Ocarina of Time, and I think Skyward Sword did too. But we all have different favorites, so I'm sure you have a different favorite than I do. Our next question comes from CrazyChick17. That name sounds familiar. I think we've had a question from her before. And she says, I have a question. Do you think that we'll ever make a hero a different ethnicity? Example given, a Black Link, Asian Link, and would you like to see this, or are you too used to Link as he is, Caucasian? This is a great question because, I mean, the whole point of Link is supposed to be he's your avatar in the story, right? So I really feel like in this day and age, you should be able to customize Link. If that's what they're holding on to, is Link is your avatar, he's supposed to be you, then they should let you have him be a female. You know, how is Link a representation of a female gamer's persona? It just doesn't make much sense to me. So yeah, they should let you change his gender to female. They should let you change his skin tone. I mean, they should really let his hair color. They should really let you make him your literal Link into the game. Unless, of course, they really do want to go the other way, which they have been going, which is to make Link a specific, definable character, in which case they kind of need to break free from that whole he's your Link to the game. Our next question comes from Paleo Joe, who says, I have a question. Do any of you think there will ever be a female villain in a Zelda game? And I mean other than a normal boss that just happens to be a female, for example, Queen Goma. I'm not really sure what you mean by other than a normal boss. Do you mean like the arch-villain of the game? If so, we have had that. That was Varen in Oracle of Ages. And she was a pretty potent boss. Quite difficult, actually. And I don't understand why they primarily focus on male bosses in Zelda games, but I could imagine us having another female. Also, there's kind of debatable about Majora. Was Majora female or male? Or gender-specific at all? I don't know. But anyways, yep, I can see a female boss in the future. And our final question comes from AkoStar62, who says, do you think that we'll ever make an M-rated Zelda game? I don't mean like a blood and gore Zelda game, I mean one that's dark and scary. Kinda like Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, but an M-rated version of scariness. A lot of people want to see a realistic game on the Wii U, and usually the scary graphics have realist graphics. Plus, it would probably fit in perfectly after Majora's Mask or Twilight Princess. It could probably even explain how Majora's Mask Link became the hero's shade. Nintendo's not really all that interested in creating games that explain one tiny piece of information, so I don't think that's going to happen. But, as far as an M-rated Zelda game, that's never going to happen. Nintendo's whole modus operandi is to create games that are available for the widest possible audience. With an M-rated game, it's only going to be for people who are 17 or older, and that's completely contrary to their general age demographic that they aim for. So, unless something crazy happens that shakes up the head people at Nintendo, we're never going to get an M-rated Zelda game. Also, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that scariness has anything to do with an M rating. I think M ratings only come from gore, blood and violence, and profanity and sexual situations, nudity and such. I don't think they've ever rated a game M just because it was scary, and there have been plenty of scary moments in many Zelda games that they haven't been rated M. But I could totally be wrong, and if so, go ahead and let me know in the comments. That's been this week's mailbag. Be sure to check out this Games Like Zelda video. This is about Final Fantasy Adventure, one of the first games that I ever played that I thought, holy crap, this is definitely a Zelda clone. And yeah, it has the name Final Fantasy in it, but you'll see how Zelda-like this is. Click here. See you guys on Thursday for Zelda News. Bye. It could probably even explain, oh my god.